Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. I thought that today I would talk about an issue that, over the years keeps popping up in my firm when clients come in and when I give telephonic consults. The same issue, seems to thread through on certain clients, and so I thought I'd make an immigration video on the subject so you'd be more aware of what it is that can and can't be done. Now, here's the typical scenario. Somebody gets a deportation order, or they leave and they're subject to the 10-year bar. And what happens is, somebody somewhere tells them that they can't come back in for 10 years. So they get they wait in their home country for 10 years, and then after 10 years and 3 days passes, they give me a call. They go, I want to come visit my family. How can I get a visitor visa? Okay, so that's the basic scenario. So you have some kind of deportation order or some kind of bar, immigration bar, and then the person waits the whole time, and then they want to just come back and visit. So first of all, let me tell you that that is highly unlikely to be approved. It doesn't matter that the bar has expired. It doesn't matter that you've waited the 10 years for the deportation order to go away. In order to get a B2 visitor visa, you have to meet all of the requirements in which to get that visitor visa, and simply not being inadmissible because you still have the 10-year bar, or not having a deportation order bar subject anymore because you've waited the 10 years, that just means you're not inadmissible based on those grounds. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get a visitor visa after. You have to understand that when you go in the U.S. consulate and you're applying for a visitor visa, the law says that you intend on staying forever and not coming back, and you have to prove them differently. And depending what country you come from, it's hard enough to do that anyways, even if you've never been in the U.S., even if you don't have a deportation order, even if you're not subject to any bars, it's hard enough to prove, to convince them that you're really going to come back after your visit. Now, let's say you have a deportation order. Okay, that means obviously you were in the United States for quite a while. That means you didn't leave voluntarily. That means they had to run procedures through to get you deported out. And so how are you going to possibly convince them that you're going to go back when half your family's in the U.S., when you overstayed, several years in the U.S., when you have a deportation order, and where they know that the only thing you want to do is get back to the U.S. as quick as you can? So, minus a very, very small percentage, the reality is that once you've been deported, the chances of coming back on a visitor visa are incredibly small. So what you have to do is you have to look for other ways in which to get back. I mean, we all know that the reality is you want to get back to your family, you want to get back in the U.S. I mean, if you didn't want to be in the U.S., you wouldn't have been here in the first place and you've been deported, right? So the way it works is there's always different paths in which to get back to the U.S. And if your bar is over, then at least you don't have to worry about that. So, there's family petitions, there's employment petitions, depending on what country, you can try for the diversity lottery, there's investment type petitions, there's a whole plethora of types of petitions and applications that you can try without having to basically go under the guise of a visitor visa and try to convince them that you just want to go to Disneyland, say hi to your long-lost family, and then leave. Okay, and so if you want to spend the time to make it a reality to get back to the United States, then go ahead, give me a call. I'll be happy to give you a consultation. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what family members you have in the U.S., what their relationship is. I'm going to look at what employment opportunities exist. I'm going to look at what country you come from and see what your education and work experience is. I'm going to see if there's any investment possibilities for you to come in on those types of visas. I'm going to see if there's any religious type visas you might be able to come on. So, like I say, there's a whole lot of different ways that you might be able to come in. It's just a matter of searching the possibilities, of realizing the reality of where you are, and then applying for something that has a viable chance of success. Now, that doesn't mean you can't try for the visitor visa. I mean, the worst they could do is, 5 seconds after you walk in, they'll laugh and say, no thanks, goodbye. But I want to assure you that there are ways of coming in, and in those cases where, for example, you were deported, but your family is with you, for example, in your home country. You've already started a business and have a successful business in your home country. All your assets are there and so forth. Then it becomes more viable to try to get a visitor visa. When you have no ties to the United States, when you have nothing left over, when your kids aren't growing up without you, okay? So that's basically the gist of this particular issue, which I wanted to convey. So if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and there'll be more videos in the coming weeks. Thank you.